Hey, this is Jason J. Lewis, Superman from Justice League Action, and you're watching SuperWonder Legacy.
You're strong.
I know.
Are you a sight for sore eyes?
It's nice to have someone who likes you for being you.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I am here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello, hello.
And today we're about to piss a lot of people off because we are rebooting Superman and Wonder Woman, as they should. Because here's the thing. Rebooting with DC is like a bad word for some reason with some components of the fandom. Even though, Britt, isn't it like DC's thing?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, the only reason why is, as you've said and we've said, is also Sam Liu, that they're married to this certain iteration. You know, no matter how convoluted it is, no matter, if it's a bad story, as long as they have this certain status quo, then they're fine with it.
Yeah, and I love, by the way, Jim Lee complaining about like manga dominating, and I go, well, maybe doing the same story over and over and over again is not a good business choice.
Exactly. It's kind of like,
I'm like, bro,
I mean, you really
you
just
know
put your
why
foot-
this is happening.
you really put your foot in your mouth and like shot yourself in that same foot. So it's kind of like, I don't know, why would you say that? Especially being the president and having control of this, big comic, company. And it's like you're the one that makes the decisions. You are the one that guides the line, the direction. Yes, he does have Snyder as like the architect and Williamson as the architects for this current era, but he is still the one that makes the decisions. And if you're trying to have, like, with Absolute, New 52 2.0, you know in a sense, like, instead of going, because some of the things, it's except for Snyder, but it feels like Snyder is just doing, or finishing his New 52 Batman run and just added, like, of course, as I always say, Frank Miller, Michael Bay, on steroids.
Michael Bay's
like
Batman. That's such a great concept.
Yeah.
Speaking of giving me, man, Britt, you always give me fantastic segues. So before we talk about reboots, let's talk about the last time DC did a reboot, the New 52. So here's the thing. Obviously, Britt and I are fans of like this era of DC. Now, the difference is we do acknowledge that this was extremely rushed, because here's the thing. DC was in a dire place because all of the detractors always say, hey, we wouldn't have minded a reboot if they had given the old universe a conclusion and then like organically opened it up. That proves to me they know not what they're talking about. Because here's the problem. DC did not have a choice nor the time, because AT&T came to DC and said, you need to increase your sales or we will shut down the company and outsource the comics to another group. So at the same time, Jeff Johns was doing Flashpoint, which was originally just supposed to be a regular Flash story. And when Barry goes back to the regular time, it was supposed to go back to normal. So the difference is now they use it as a reboot. Now, here's the thing. When they were coming up with what they wanted to do and decided to turn into a reboot, that's, according to Jim Lee at least, they started with Superman and wanted to, like, okay, let's make the suit look Kryptonian. This is the best decision they ever made. Let's separate him from Lois Lane. Speaking of sacks of potatoes. But So, by Britt, I love how that's become the thing now with that Steve Trevor's a sack of potatoes. It's so good. Thank you. So, and the thing is, like, yes, it was extremely rushed, but everyone that says they wish the New 52 never happened doesn't understand that without the New 52, DC Comics would not be around.
It's a lot of course, the Bird app fans, they love to create narratives, to be in their bubble, you know.
Mhm.
So when talking about the new 52, it is when you even stan culture, and I would say music, music, the music fandom, it's always about the Billboard charts. It's always about, my favorite artists have so many number ones, have this and that hit or whatever. So that sort of mindset is coming into the comic fandom. And with that, it's like they think of, post crisis, everything that happened with post crisis, all the bad and ugly, they disregard it because it's, where, yeah, some of your favorite characters were introduced there, some favorite stories or whatever. But you can have a favorite story, but ultimately DC still ended up with terrible sales. They ended up being pressured by WB that if you don't do something, we will shut you down. So they did. Yes, it was rushed, and it was micromanaged, and everything. But you can't deny that at least the first 3 years were successful.
Yeah, the first three, and that's when they were doing all the really original stuff like Superman and Wonder Woman stuff. But then you had people, because here's what you had, according to at least Robert, is that some of the creatives that were particularly petty were upset that their already in progress storylines were interrupted by the reboot. And I go, tough. Yeah, here's the thing. Again, you're not writing creator owned stuff when you're writing for DC, and I'm sick and tired of creatives acting like when they write for like DC Comics and Marvel that they all of a sudden are like beyond reproach because they're the artists. No, you're writing corporate owned comics. You don't, it ultimately, you have to abide by what the fan base clearly wants, and sometimes that involves abandoning your storylines. Tough.
Well, that is, that comes with that ambitious mindset of who wants to do 100 issue run, or wants to be on for 25 years, or something like that. But yeah, the story has to resonate with the fans. I think I either said this last week or we were talking in Messenger, but with the story and with sales, and then you have the fandom. Some fans complain, but yet what they're complaining about is actually successful. And then what they want isn't successful. And you can see that drastic difference between Superman and Wonder Woman and Convergence, the Convergence mini.
I mean, the coward Superman, the one that everyone propped up as the return of the actual power couple, but yet it flopped harder than Tom King's Trinity book.
Yes, that.
I'm sorry, I had to do that whole thing. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like they're always like, we have to show DC this is what we want, and yet it had pitiful sales for fan book.
Exactly. Especially with introducing John, with bringing back the marriage and everything like that, you would expect that to have that 100K plus thousand sales that Superman and Wonder Woman gained. But no, that didn't happen. It what 30K?
I think it was like it was between 15 and 30. It was that pathetic, and it never ever got to like really rose. It just crashed.
And then you have Dan Jurgens when they did the Rebirth launch, Action Comics. It only, I think when they were showing the pre-order sales, it only hit like 75K. So it's like, again, you bring back these supposed fan favorites, but you have to see that is a niche. It's not the entire fandom. And going by social media, sometimes social media is manipulative. You have to fight bots. You have to fight fans with multiple accounts and rigging polls, numbers and everything like that. Because when you see all of these people complaining on social media, you think that, oh, so this certain book will fail, or if they want a certain thing, that they will actually open their wallets and support this book. But once you give them the book and the sales don't match everything that they've said online, then you're stuck in a hard place. And that's the thing that I think DC struggles with a lot. They cater to a lot of what fans on social media say instead of looking at their sales.
Well, yeah, and again, it's like they cater to the post-crisis fan base, which if the post-crisis was such a big part of DC, this was the peak, it should have sold better, because post-crisis eventually was the reason why the new 52 happened. Oh,
Right. And honestly, going backpedaling, well, I wouldn't call this post-crisis. It's not at all post-crisis.
well,
Um,
but I'm just saying the original post-crisis is why this happened.
right. And whatever this is now is why DC is such in a terrible state. And I mean, you can see the sales for 2025, the whole roundup was the top 50 was all of Absolute Batman. And I think the first two issues of Matt Fraction's new Batman
Mhm.
run.
Yeah, it's mostly Batman. And so I'm like, and it's absolute again. So it's like, if you're, here's the thing that DC needs to realize, and they need to get this through their heads. The absolute is doing great for you guys. I get it. Eventually that may not last as long as you think it will. And your main line has to be healthy. Because let's say the absolute like bubble pops. What are you left with?
Exactly. And also, for a lot of the fans to say, well, you could have had New 52 alongside Post Crisis. No,
Same situation.
because we are seeing you have the main line and then you have Absolute. And Absolute is like, it's not even, to say overshadowing is an understatement.
Well, let me let you in a little secret. Here's what would have happened if they did the main line. If they did this as an Elseworlds. You ready? Okay. So what would have happened is it would have gone as a side universe. It would have sold about as well as the Absolute universe is. And then DC inevitably, because they need sales and the other part would have been bleeding, would have been like, okay, merge them, but make them mostly New 52. Like get rid. They would have blown up post-crisis anyway.
Or it would have been merged like they did with the New 52 of whatever.
Except I like to think more well done than they did with Rebirth, because Rebirth was clearly a knee-jerk reaction.
But I really do think that if they try to do absolute, merging, they would definitely want a traditional, outlook on these characters. I think that will definitely override anything. Because that is just their mindset, is that regardless if traditional ways are outdated, doesn't meet the expectations in regards of sales, it's still tradition that they can't let go of.
Oh, yeah. It's because, again, you also have a lot of the more traditionalist writers there. And they're like, no, my Superman is only this. My Superman is only this. And I go, I don't care what your Superman is, no offense. Well, because guess what? Your Superman wasn't selling. Okay? That's it. And here's the thing. I know sales aren't everything, but okay, Britt, pop quiz. What is DC?
It is a company.
That's another word for a business. So I'll accept it. You still get gold star. You still get a credit. But it's like, guys, the number one priority of any business is to what, Britt?
Make money.
Bingo! It's supposed to make money. And if you see something that's making money, you don't get to tell your audience, you shouldn't want this. I'm like, no, you don't get to tell me what I shouldn't want. If I want something that you are providing, don't take it away from me because you don't like it.
Right. I mean, that's
like the opposite of business.
Right. What Tomasi did with Clark and Diana's relationship in the book,
and
if you know, and Rucka, if you know that it's selling, give it to someone who would at least do a decent job with it. Don't give it to
Exactly.
someone to purposely sabotage it.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure. Yeah, exactly. And it's like that was an error on DC's part because they gave it to the wrong person. And also it's on Tomasi for not reading the book. It's very evident he just came on and just said, I'm just gonna make it up and I'm gonna force in some drama.
No, that's the thing. He did know what Sewell did. He actually shaded it, saying that was the honeymoon phase. Saying that it was
I still don't think I still don't think, because why would he all of a sudden retcon in the reveal of the God of War, but when Clark was fine about it?
To create drama.
That man in drama. He creates way too much drama.
Yeah.
How did that work out for you, brother?
Yeah, it was not. It was the same thing that happened in DC AMU. It was this total 180 on purpose.
So let me ask you. So they got rid of it. They got rid of this for your Superman and Lois bomb book, and with John. How did that end up for you, brother? I'm sorry. I know I'm petty, but at this point, I think I have a reason to be petty.
Well, just like what happened with the animated universe, with Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Tomasi basically got that karma too, that blindsided because DC, took him off the book, the Superman book, and also canceled Super Sons.
Can I this is the first time I've ever said what I'm about to say on the podcast, Britt, so you're getting exclusive. Are you ready? Thank you, Bendis.
Oh my God.
This is the only time I will ever say that.
I mean, but it
may have led to a really crappy Superman run, but you know what? I'll take that sacrifice.
I mean, the crappy run was with Tomasi and Jurgens.
It was also bad under He Must Not Be Named or BMB. But here's the thing, Britt. I read the first trade of it. It's not great, but it's not horrible. So I may have to get the other trades just because this got rid of Rebirth Superman.
That is hilarious.
In effect, it did, Britt. Oh, and you know what's great? Also, if you want to see, if you really hate Rebirth Superman, you know what book you have to read, Britt?
No.
Rebirth Aquaman, because Aquaman kicks the crap out of Rebirth Superman. When he shows up under the command of the U.S. government, and Aquaman just bodies Superman.
Oh, so he's a government stooge too.
Yeah, he's a government stooge, and it's it's pre-merging. So this is the coward Superman, and Aquaman just kicks his ass.
Wow.
And this is New 52 Aquaman too.
So right off the bat, you basically have him as this, American dad in the most superficial, cringeworthy way.
Oh, and by the way, all you fans of Rebirth Superman, I don't want to hear anything about Clark letting his father die in a tornado. Because, Britt, what did Superman do when a tornado was hitting Smallville?
Oh, that's right. He did hide in a bunker. Like, you are the most powerful man on the planet, and you're hiding in a bunker.
If this is supposed to be the ideal Superman, so you want Superman to be a coward. That's why, honestly, I'm glad that Superman was completely ignored and retconned. I'm like, no, I'm cool with him being eliminated from continuity, because I'm gonna say it, he's not Superman.
No, that
New 52 Clark would have punched a tornado in the face. Yes, I realize how weird that sounds. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that is kind of weird, but
you know what I was going for, Britt.
Yeah, but in a way, you can reference, Superman and Wonder Woman issue 1 when Clark and Diana actually go.
He's good with storms. Hey, there you go. But yeah, so that's my point. So let's talk about, because the other thing about this is that people will say that you're just erasing a legacy of the characters. But I'm like, here's the thing. Eventually, I am for the regular reboots because, and yeah, it's like, because here's what that does. You make it as easy as possible for the other fans. Because again, when I came into DC, I think, so it was 2013. So it was relatively near it was like a year or two into the New 52. I didn't have to read, I had to read the minimum. So it was like, okay, I didn't have to read that much. I got into it, and then I can go back and read the other stuff. But it's like, guys, here's the thing. Anyone saying, well, it eliminates all of like the legacy and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you're telling me you're not in favor of Crisis then? Or any of the other stories that you guys seemingly like that wiped out continuity?
I mean, that goes the same way for Pre-Crisis.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like, here's the thing. And it's like, the thing about the reboot thing, it's like, no, if you give the universe a conclusion, because now I would say DC is in a position that they wanted to reboot, give this universe a conclusion, and then let's move on. You can even say the new history of the DC universe book you guys did with Wade, but immediately contradicted afterwards. You can use that as like, that's just the history of this timeline of DC. Then reboot, then you get to do another thing. That's it. That's what you really need to do eventually, because it's like, because if you can't manage your continuity and you're not going to tell your creatives no, and you're going to tell them do whatever you want, I'm sorry, regular reboots are important because the writers themselves are not going to pay attention to canon.
Quite honestly, I think that is why New History had so many delays, because you could tell the history of Pre-Crisis and the start of Post-Crisis, but once you get to the end towards trying to do the merge and New 52, Flashpoint, New 52 to current, no, everything is a mess. So even with trying to, put John's origin, he's had several origins to make him fit in the timeline. Superman wearing the granny panties and his death, they have to have the Doomsday death somehow. They have to have the marriage, and it doesn't make sense because you want them. I think Jurgen said they were 38 or something along that in age, and it's like, no, that does not make sense. They're at least pushing.
You're saying the DC timeline does not make sense?
Sure.
I know, right?
I mean, they at least should be pushing 60 or something like that.
At this point, with everything they've gone down? Yeah. And it's like, listen, guys, it's like, just give it a conclusion. That's the universe. And then you can move on. And then eventually say, no, if you want your convoluted as hell universe, there you go. It's right there. But now, because here's the thing. I honestly think that a lot of DC fans don't want new fans to get into the hobby because they don't want to have to do what's necessary, i.e. the regular reboot, the dealing with the general audience. So they like to keep it as niche as possible. And that's also what's hurting comics, honestly, compared to manga.
Exactly. I mean, with manga and anime, you can just go into the fandom. They do have a certain story that they are telling,
And you have to be very careful that no one is looking over your shoulder while you're watching anime.
It depends. It depends on what you're watching.
I had
to. But with that, it's kind of like they take creative liberties and they are able to be bombastic, take risk and everything.
That's what the new 52 was, according to Dio, taking a bunch of risks. That's why we had like OMAC or Men of Frickin' War getting their own books in the beginning because they were like, no, let's experiment for a bit because we're going to get a sales boost because it's a reboot. Let's see if we can launch new franchises. And I'm like, that is sound business decisions, Dan.
Yeah, and when it didn't, hit right, which it didn't, they canceled it. They had no choice but to, because it was kind of like, again, still under the pressure of WB. So it's like, if those books aren't hitting a certain threshold of sales, we have to cancel it. We're trying to push books that obviously aren't bestsellers. You are just wasting time, and yes, you're supposed to give things a chance, but at the same time, it's pointless, and then you're going to end up with either another Batman book replacing it, or it's the character just goes in limbo or something like that. So you just need to get creatives who actually have creative ideas. Stop staying in this stagnant position. With New 52, it was something that, again, the first 3 years were successful. Sales started to dwindle because, and the DO did admit this, that they kind of hit a roadblock because it's kind of like they just couldn't communicate which direction to go.
That's what you needed, because like you had George Perez doing Superman and Grant Morrison doing action, and action is taking place 5 years in the past. So George has to know what Grant is doing, because otherwise, because he needs to know if he has to reference something. So if he doesn't know it, that's a problem.
And then you have the creatives who want to veer to the traditional status quo. Morrison, even though they were doing something a little bit different, they still referenced, Clark married to Lois. And it's like, no, this is a total new character. Why are you referencing this? That is not his future. It doesn't need to be something concrete. That is how you restrict the story. You need to let the story flow as it may.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, but again, it's like a lot of these guys, I think it's really an ego problem, because they're like, oh, everyone loves this storyline. No one likes the storyline that like the New 52 was on. He's like, wasn't Jurgens even like petty enough that he didn't want to draw the New 52 costume?
Yes, he called it bulky and everything like that, but I mean, he's the one who drew it bulky and ugly. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, no, it really, because even if you look at like Rags Morales, it's because of Jurgens that it gets the reputation of being armor, because it's really not. If you look at the way Rags Morales drew it in Grant Morrison's Action Comics, it's a regular suit. It just has the lines. You just have to know that if you actually read the freaking books and aren't petty. Because I got news for you. At least my Superman wears his underwear on the inside of his pants.
Right. And the also with even the new Superman movie. Well, it's not new, but Superman 25. When they did the comic book covers with David's iteration and the costume, Dan Jurgens had a cover, and he made the suit look so ugly. I mean, it's already
not the best looking Superman suit,
but he really made it look like, I don't know, it's not even a costume or whatever that.
If you want to, it looks padded. It looks like those. Honestly, it looks like those Halloween muscle suits that you'd see at like Halloween City.
Exactly. That's exactly what it looked like. And it's kind of like, how can you talk about, the style of the costume?
Guess what? Because guess who was invited to the Superman set, Britt?
Of course.
That's why. Bias!
But at the same time, he didn't like it. It's the same thing that he said, about Superman's the beard. When New 52 Superman had it, he for some reason had a problem with it, that he's supposed to be clean shaved.
And then his Superman had a beard.
Yes. So honestly, I just really think that he's a hater, but again, it's kind of like he wants to do it first.
Well, here's the thing. Hey, Jurgens, your storyline crashed Superman sales, and they've never recovered since then. And I'm talking about Death of Superman. Remember that. Anyway, and it led to the dissolution of Death in Comics. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Anyway, so yeah, so we have this, and we're talking about why a reboot is necessary, because all the retcons and all of the references that honestly contradict the hell out of stuff have made the DC continuity. Even though you do the history book itself is not going to fix these issues, because there are things that Wade did that contradict each other in the book. So that's where we come in. So Britt and I came up with a little timeline. So Britt, let's start with Superman. So how are we rebooting Superman?
All right. So with Superman, it is a new dawn. This is inspired by Golden Age morals with the New 52 sense of scale.
Hell yeah.
Integrating the strongest elements of we are having every era sort of, it's not the story, but it's just like some of the tone.
Homage.
Yeah, some of the tone and how to merge things together that actually fit. So Superman is not a regression. It is bringing him to modern day, like New 52 was, and it's just this simple foundation of Superman as the champion of the oppressed. And with him being a journalist, he is a global correspondent. Like, he is global. He is not stagnant in Metropolis. He is not he does have the secret identity, unfortunately. I would
Honestly, I don't feel like they're ever going to escape from that, because when BMB did it didn't work out.
yeah, I mean, it depends on who, I guess, again, the creatives.
Mhm.
But for me, if you are going to do the secret identity, he has to be honest with himself. Yes, it is a struggle to be honest with other people, but he doesn't need to be dishonest in the mental gymnastics to fit in. That is the only thing that I would change. So if you are going to do the secret identity, it has to be pretty much like New 52, where it wasn't done out of gaslighting, like Golden Age with Lois or anything like that. It was him truly protecting himself and just trying to navigate the world. And also, even if Clark Kent it's a persona, but it's also a balanced persona with
So what you're saying is Superman is who I am, Clark Kent is what I can do. See what I did there?
Well, yeah, that's basically what that is. Yeah, because that was the essence of him in the Golden Age in the first place.
I'm all petty to this week. Now, here's the thing. The problem with the Golden Age is that there wasn't enough balancing with him being also raised by the Kens. So hopefully we keep that. But it's like, yeah, the idea about, oh, no, Superman is just what I can do. Clark Kent is who I am. I'm like, okay, bro, just stop.
Right.
There needs to be, Britt, I'm thinking of a word, a very important word. Let's see. It starts with a B. What could that word be?
Well, I just said it like a minute ago, but balance.
Yes, I wanted you to repeat it. I wanted you to repeat it. It's called emphasis, Britt. It's called emphasis. But Action Comics. And by the way, as soon as I saw you're starting on Krypton, I'm like, thank you.
Right. So I think you just said something about the identity, but we get into that with the Kent. We get to that here. So with Action Comics, it is structured kind of like the current Mark Waid Action Comics with Superboy Adventures, and it gives you that golden age feel. It is the backbone of the reboot. The mission statement is, it's like I said, the backbone spine of the line. It is a little time hopping, just as his age, but it is a coming of age type story. So you get like the past, the present, and the future. You emphasizing on scale, consequence, and the weight of Cal becoming Superman. And also with that balance, we do emphasize Cal as his name. It's not a dead name. It is his name. He goes by either or, and he is fine with it.
Yeah, the way I always took it, it depends on the context. Obviously, if like Diana sees him at the Daily Planet, she's not going to say, "Hey, Cal."
Exactly. It has to be something logical, but it isn't. For his name, it shouldn't be anything controversial, basically.
Plus, again, it inadvertently makes it sound like Superman is like ashamed of his heritage.
True.
And he shouldn't be.
I mean, well, it's not just sounding like it. He has been written that way.
Not a fan, obviously.
Right. So it launches with five core titles of the Superman line. Of course, you will add along the way, but here we go through at least the main ones
Mhm.
from the start.
For
And
Clark, his books.
right, and this is basically emulating the different facets of Kal-El's life and legacy. So, book one, of course, is Action Comics. As I said, it is emphasizing on his adventures as Superboy, and arc one is the children of Krypton. So it basically emulates a little bit of Absolute, you know, in that regard, but also the is that I think it was issue 0 and the first arc
Yep.
of Lobdell's Superman, where
Yep.
we
I
get
have those
adventures.
issues. It was awesome.
Yeah, so we get adventures of Jarrell and Laura. Just glimpses because that is going to be very important later on.
It's the context, right?
Right. So they are the scientists and they are Krypton's champions of the oppressed. Um so in this continuity they defend the labor, the political controversies, the basically the science council and how they are not listening to the issues
Mm-hmm.
of Krypton, and of course the council ends up leading to Krypton's destruction.
Yeah.
Their activism makes them, of course, controversial figures, just like Clark and Diana do, on Earth. But they are respected, they are also feared, and then they are quietly watched. So that, in a sense, mirror, like I said, Clark and Diana later on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when we are introduced to Cal, he is 3 years old. I like that he isn't like a newborn or 1 years old or something like that. I will give him a little time on Krypton. So he's already observant, he's curious, absorbing everything. He has time with his parents, he has time with crypto, things like that, to really at least give him somewhat of course you don't remember everything at 3 years old, but it just gives you that sense of that he can feel something though as he gets older. We also see Rao, I think that's how you say it.
Rao, yeah.
And again, it's just setting up. I would say this is setting up for another book. So
Mm-hmm.
you get these glimpses of Krypton and what it means, how important it is, and how it all connects to Cal's place as Superman on Earth.
Okay, cool. So then we go to the fall.
So, with this, of course, Krypton's destruction, Cal is launched into the unknown. So he's earthbound. So at age 5, no, actually, once his rocket crashes, he is in a field. He is found by a motorcyclist. So we do have that.
Oh, the
Um,
biker!
yes, we do have that. And but then the biker, he couldn't take him, so Cal is put into the system. He doesn't tell him that, oh, I just found this kid, in a rocket. No, he doesn't say that. He just hopes that he is okay
Mm-hmm.
within the system. At age 5, he is in an orphanage, and this is pretty much a callback also to not only the Golden Age, well, that was the Golden Age too, but the Tomorrowverse.
Speaking
How
of Tomorrowverse, real quick, I just want to tell you, I noticed this before we started recording. So obviously I did the episode on the Tomorrowverse Wonder Woman, and Megan Fitzmartin, one of the writers, said, oh, I'm so glad you love her. I know Jeremy Adams and I had a blast writing her.
Oh, that's neat.
I'm almost like, come on the podcast.
Well, yeah, Jared.
Anyway, continue, Britt.
So he is in the orphanage, and he feels that isolation, but he's really sweet, really kind, helpful, even at age 5, but he's still a little lost at what's going on. But he is adopted by the Kents at age either 5 or 6, you know. And that's pretty much how you put all of those origins together. He still has his moments with the elves, the callback to the motorcyclist, callback to being in an orphanage, and then eventually he will get to the Kents.
Sweet.
And they become his guides, of course.
So then we get to the Superboy of Smallville.
So now again, it is a coming of age story. If you do read Mark Waid's
I do.
Action Comics, then that's basically what this is. It's him, helping around Smallville. He's learning his powers, doing little missions here and there, and he's also just going a little steps, to he wants to do more in for the world. And so with that, though, balancing heroics at the early age, he's also balancing the quote unquote normal life of building friendships, going to school, those growing pains of a teenager.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That works. And now tell me about Man of Action.
So this is now, we are moving on to him, I would say 21. So we do get that little glimpse of him going to college, meeting Lori. He also, of course, was with Lana in high school. College age, he does meet Lori, have that, fling, but he's growing. So I would say this is very much him in the jeans and t-shirt. And again, he is slowly becoming that global hero and adventuring. Also, even the year 1 of Frank Miller, he wouldn't join the Navy. I would say that he would do something else so he can travel.
What you could do is maybe he goes to college and then does a term abroad.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, you could do that. So book 2 Superman, trigger warning. It contains a picture of Lois.
I mean,
Rockefeller's Lois is actually not that bad look, and so I'll give it that. But yeah, all right, spoiler. I talked to Britt about this. The one thing I want to say is that Lois is in no way a love interest. I think it's pretty obvious if you're watching this podcast who Superman's love interest would be. But with this, it's like she is more of the rival reporter that's constantly trying to expose Superman's identity because she knows that's her like cheat code to a Pulitzer.
Right.
Emphasis on cheat because we know regular Lois kind of cheated. So
yeah, it's I can't believe that they actually had a backup story for Lois about that and tried to romanticize it.
Yeah, but you also had Superman calling her out on it. So you know what? I kind of like that's the only like flowers I will give it. I'll put a tiny rose on it.
It's gonna be a dead rose because he's okay with it anyway. Like how you
no, but
call
still,
her out?
It was still DC calling out Lois.
I mean, they are the ones who accept it too. So
yeah, I know. It's so the other thing that you could really do, and this is something that DC really needs to do, because we know Clark is a journalist. We don't see it that much.
Right. So that is pretty much what this book is about. So, also the titles, we actually go by the title. Action Comics means action. A lot of, high scale action. Superman is smaller scale, and you get Superman with the people. So this goes into him also as a journalist. So he does both, how to fuse the journalist and the hero together. And he does a lot of human interest stories. He of course he is going to stop, corrupted moguls, protect um workers from the kind of like you will go into real world politics, not
Hmm.
so much as being preachy. It's just something that will resonate, with the world today.
Hmm.
And he does challenge the governments, of course. And yeah, he's just uncovering a lot of corruption within smaller, not just metropolis, but other cities.
Yeah, so it's like you can use them as like so essentially, if I'm understanding this correctly, which I believe I am because I know you very well and we're in sync about practically everything. Basically, it's like that one period where he and Kat had that one website. Essentially, it's kind of
The
that
blog.
concept.
In essence, yes, yes, yes.
Would Kat still work on it with him? Because I did kind of like the idea of them being partners.
I think so. I did have it that the Daily Planet was kind of like his base. He's
Hmm.
not always in the office. It's more so like he is, and as we've written it in our fanfics, is that he travels a lot, but he's just under the Daily Planet, payroll.
Hmm.
But we can definitely still have it with a partnership with Kat for the blog and everything. He's still known worldwide as Clark Kent, the journalist, a global correspondent, things like that. Um, and we also do have his, supporting cast. Then you have Kat, you have Lois, Jimmy, Perry. Lois is his journalistic rival and also partial antagonist trying to expose Superman's identity. We're actually going to have that more emphasized. It's not so much as to be petty, not like Jared. It is to actually
What?
tell the
Whoa, whoa,
story.
whoa! I'm feeling attacked here.
Well, you're the one that just said that you were being petty. So I'm just saying, as far as storytelling wise, we are not being petty here.
Well, here's the thing. She would not be like mean or anything. Well, she would still be like prickly to Clark, still call him Smallville and stuff. But to be clear, we're not going to make Lois evil or something like that. We're not like we're not that petty.
Right.
But yeah, because I always liked that idea, and they never really, even in New 52, they never really did. Because I do like the idea of Lois at least being Clark's friend, at the very least, maybe work rival, because you can have work rivals and friends and stuff. So it's like because I feel like it would be too far to make it where like, oh, she hates him or something like that. So I'm like, no,
No,
you can
she
still
hates
have
him.
Britt. Now who's being petty?
It's not petty when it's the actual character.
I can't refute that. All right, so Britt, when you showed me the when I was reading through this and I saw the like and I saw the description of like so Clark is like confronting moguls and stuff. I could not find a better image than this.
Yes.
That I figured that was the one you were like, I hope Jared uses this one.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I went in there trying to find the one of him holding the mogul over the building, but I was like, nah, this one works best.
That is definitely our Superman. Yes.
Because wasn't he even going up against like people trying to like evict people?
Yes.
So I'm like, oh yeah, that works.
Yes. That is basically this image sums up, what this book will be about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I like that. And yeah, it's Clark being the champion of the oppressed and stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that Clark is going to be disrespectful or like anything like that. He's still because again, because Clark is still respectful of the system. He grew up in Kansas, but he's like, I'm not going to stand by and let the system abuse.
Right.
So it's like, it's like he would basically say, okay, I'm going to give. So it's like. Let me put it this way. If they tried to use like tear gas launchers or anything like that, he would just heat vision the tear gas launchers and goes, I can go all day, guys.
Exactly.
So that's that. Now, book 3, Rao, Legacy, Krypton, Legacy of Rao. I had to use some images from Power and Glory, baby.
Exactly. That is basically well, that sums up this book.
Oh,
In a
great.
sense.
See, we're so in sync.
That sums up this book. This one starts though as a prequel. Each arc tells of Cal's lineage, his ancestors, all the way up to and ancient Krypton, all the way to Cal's parents. So it's going to be a very long tale with that, but it's just emphasizing again on the generations of L's. And it's not like PKJ that's, with the Book of L, you have a great story title, but the story is telling a future that's never going to happen.
I dropped it
And
because it got boring. To me, at least, it got boring. I mean, I'm glad he's getting to tell his story, but I'm like, why though?
I think because what these creatives want to do is make their mark, and they
Exactly.
want to have a stamp on the future, and that's basically what his book is about.
Now, I will say, PKJ is one of the few creators that I would say, okay, he's not one of the creatives that will like do this to the detriment of the character, because he really does like Superman. So I'm not gonna like blast him.
Right, it's not that. It's just the fact that he tried to still make a mark on the future, and have
At least with this, it's like it's a future that they can like ignore, and it's like only he's gonna reference if he ever comes back to DC. So it's like at the very least, since it's in the future, it doesn't really like, for lack of a better term, it's gonna sound harsh, it doesn't matter. But it's like, hey, at least he gets to like complete his storyline and stuff.
True. So, well, this book is actually just telling the past, the present, and the past and present. The future is really just Cal, and well, in our verse, of course, he ends up with Diana, and there are many possibilities of futures. That's what this is. But it explores Krypton's forgotten, basically the legacy, but it also emphasizes on the warriors. So with Laura, how she was the general of the army, and
Love it.
More female Kryptonians who are warriors as well. And yes, that will.
You really, if you want female Kryptonian warriors, you would love the Krypton show.
Well, that is something that I will definitely have to watch.
Oh! If you love Kryptonian culture, Britt, this show is tailor-made for you.
Cool. So yeah, I will definitely give it a watch.
Exactly.
So you have the philosophers, the rebels, the scientists, of course, and it also deepens the role of Rao as the god of light. Well, supposed truth is his.
I was about to say, is he still evil?
Honestly, if we are going to reference Power and Glory, I would say it's kind of like how he ended up corrupted, and how he ends up corrupted is because of the destruction of Krypton. So we see that rise and fall.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I dig that. And it's like, you could always make it where like maybe he wasn't evil, but like he didn't know what he was doing. Here's what you could do. Yes, you could do misguided. Maybe he was an individual that didn't even choose to be like a god, if you will, that was forced upon him, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, yeah. So that is basically the starts with the ancient text of Krypton. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then we get to book 4, Superman United. This is a better way of doing the triangle thing, a lot better, Britt. Wow. Leave it to SuperWonder Legacy to do DC stuff better than they do.
So this is basically Superman team ups. You have Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, street level heroes, cosmic Guardians, things like that. And it's basically like the usual team ups, but this is where you get the perspectives of Cal's first meeting of whichever hero and the other hero's perspective of him, and how they merge together, how they can help each other, and how they end up as the team of within the Justice League or whatever. And how
each issue can just be how he met each of those people.
Exactly. And of course, you know, with Batman, it's that not the superficial light and dark, but a little bit of that. Then you have Diana,
Ooh,
where
they both know what it's like to be orphans.
exactly. Then you have Diana, who, well, their complicated, romantic tension is explored with that outsider feel of the expectations, but also her. I would say this book's is for her when she Perez version of Diana when they first meet. And then of course the lanterns. It's kind of like to have Hal and Cal first meet would be funny because
Yeah, we go. Oh, we need to do the scene from Justice League War where it's like you can make it so the meeting with Diana dovetails in meeting with Green Lantern, and Green Lantern goes dibs. He approaches Diana, and then Superman just mean mugs him.
yeah,
You need that. That is the greatest meeting ever. And then he goes, and then Hal goes, "You're a Kryptonian, aren't you?" And then Superman goes, "Yeah." And then Hal goes, "Message received."
that,
And then he goes, and then he's like, "I'm gonna go call Carol."
as he should.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to be clear, Hal would never cheat on Carol, but it's more like maybe he was like considering Carol, but he's like, okay, I really like Carol, and I like to not get my ass kicked by a Kryptonian. That would hurt.
Exactly.
But I love. If I ever wrote, we need to do this because if I were writing this, it would be the most bro book ever. Like I could see. You know what they really need? They need a scene in a Justice League book where it's just the guy leaguers just getting beers together. They need that.
Yes, they do.
Because here's the thing: the league should feel like a family.
That's true.
It's like, but interesting. Titans Rebirth called this out because it's like with it was when Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman show up, and Nightwing and Donna Troy are talking. This is when they reveal that like the Donna Troy origin, where she was like Hippolyta's a reincarnated thing from the Finch one, was a false history. But so what they did was Nightwing just basically goes, "Okay, we trust each other completely. What do you say? Because we are actually friends."
I think I remember that. And I mean, the Justice League, I think they were called out actually in Post Crisis too from the JSA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much, I think it was Jeff Johns that kind of emphasized that too, that the JSA and the Titans are families. The Titans grew up together and everything like that. So they have that sort of tighter bond. The JSA the same way, older, wiser and everything like that. Then the Justice League is basically like coworkers, very much. They're not corporate, but it's just that, they don't have those moments of being together personally, outside of the costume. The only people that were like that was Clark, Diana, and Bruce. But the Trinity concept really came from Kingdom Come, and that is where they became a little bit more personal. And with that translating to post-crisis, they sort of diluted that idea, tried to make them like this, this personal friend group, but it really doesn't. It's very awkward.
Yeah,
and doesn't feel
exactly.
genuine.
Exactly, and that's what Nightwing's point was, and I'm like, yeah, that was like. I love when other writers call it out. It's just so great. But anyway, so and it's like, so tell me about the all the other crossovers you would do.
So of course it would be Flash and Aquaman. I would say Flash is just the normal racing, how something really fun.
You could homage the first time Flash and Superman race because that is a famous comic issue.
Right. Aquaman is basically the sons of two worlds.
Yeah, exactly. He goes, you're from another world, I'm from another world. Do we become best friends?
Right.
You're in love with an Amazon warrior. I'm in love with a woman that comes from an Atlantean penal colony that was sent to kill me. Wow. We are so similar.
Right. Arthur and Cal should be best friends, like, because they are so similar.
Honestly, if I could, I would pitch a Superman Aquaman book. That's the true world's finest right there.
True.
But but yeah, and that's really fun because what you're doing here, Britt, is you're letting the universe breathe. Because say what you want about the Absolute, the good thing the Absolute universe did by waiting so long for the crossovers is they're letting the books breathe and they're not forcing it all in at one time. Because this, correct me if I'm wrong, but this would be before even a Justice League book happens, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like you're waiting and you're essentially like going, okay, so let's take this slow and organically. You're not rushing it like the new 52 originally was.
Right.
All right. Next slide. Let's do this. So book 5, Man of Tomorrow. Obviously it'll be written by James Gunn. I'm only kidding.
Oh Lord, no. So this would be very intergalactic missions. This is, you have Clark Kent, Superman on Earth as the global correspondent, doing the big scale of, Justice League type threats. But now he's more, he goes outside of that to different worlds that needs a savior. No, not the white savior, just a savior who understands, being basically, I would say, emphasize on the Moses allegory. And also, he isn't just the champion of the oppressed for Earth, but for any world that is, under such corruption.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and you would honestly, I think that, yeah, exactly. That 100% works because it's like too many times. It's like again with Aquaman, with the Aquaman book in Rebirth, it's like Superman just shows up and he goes, "Hey, Aquaman, you're concerning the U.S. government." Aquaman's like, "What are you gonna do to stop me?" And then proceeds to. I want to emphasize this because I'm petty. He beats the crap out of Stoogey Superman. That's what I'm gonna call him. Also, coward. He's the coward stooge Superman. He's Stooge Man.
That is funny.
There you go. You have Simp Man. He is Stooge Man.
Hilarious.
But yeah, that's the point. It's like, whereas with this guy, he's like, yeah, look, I respect your authority, but I'm not going to let you like abuse people. That's not how I'm supposed to do things.
Right.
It's like, but they kind of addressed this in Superman and Lois when he saves the North Korean submarine that was going to like blow up. And the U.S. general is like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be loyal to America. And he goes, I'm not just going to let people die because of their flag.
Yeah, that's honestly, I don't know why they even question that. And that's why Superman needs more emphasis on stories that emphasize him being global, universal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's hey, kudos to them for actually like dealing with it, though.
True. Yeah.
So, Britt, so is that have we concluded with our Superman reboot?
Yes. So
let's move on to our wonderful Amazon.
Oh well.
Oh wait, yeah. What?
Go back. Just.
Oh yeah, sure.
So all in all, with this, the core thesis of the reboot, it is Superman as a child of immigrants or child immigrant, a refugee, a journalist in the age of misinformation, so modern day. He is a scientist in a universe afraid of change, and he is a hero that grows up saving the world. And it's basically asking the question, it's not asking, is Superman irrelevant or relevant? Because I think that is also the problem, is trying to make Superman relevant of the time. And it's like, that is so easy to do because he is the man of tomorrow. He is supposed to change with the times. So now we're just trying to, make that work and be creative enough to show that he is of modern times.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And basically what this is, Britt, is like, we're basically saying these characters don't have to be stale. So if you're going to continue to make characters stale, don't complain about them not selling or people not finding Superman relevant. Anyway, on to Themyscira.
So this, and I actually did this as a Twitter thread. And
A
that's pretty much what.
a very informative thread, mind you.
Thank you. And that's pretty much what prompted us for this actual episode. So this is basically going through the same way as Superman, but this Wonder Woman goes from Perez is that is her foundation because Perez was able to really set a high standard because Golden Age Wonder Woman, yes, we do have the feminist icon and how she was created, but it also had a lot of controversy that overshadowed the positiveness of who she was. I think that Perez is the one that really balanced out the controversy and still made Diana who she is and be the recognizable version that we love and care for, and also the version that really just kept her going, you know. So that is definitely the foundation. And you emphasize on the matriarchal view while doing, as I said, as we did with Superman, we do weave in, some of the tone, some of the things, the characters or the villains from the Golden Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age. And you do have New 52. I will honestly use the gods. Because I don't care for the Disney animal gods. Perez gods are good.
Question though, can we not have Poseidon be a fish man?
No, he's not. Okay, so if you don't like certain designs of New 52, think of them as Perez versions or
Okay.
Blood
To
of
be
Zeus
clear
version.
though, Zeus is having dreadlocks.
Exactly.
Because that was freaking badass.
Right. Or we can say Blood of Zeus, design.
With dreadlocks.
Right. Some of the characters do have Blood of Zeus designs.
Because I'm sorry, the dreadlocks just look too good. I can't avoid that.
Right. So, the central question for Wonder Woman is, what does it truly mean to be raised by women and sent to save the world? She is the ambassador and representative of her people. It's not.
Here we go.
It's not centered around Steve. It won't be simple to have him centered. We have to get away from that.
Yes.
So,
how about like if DC says we can make it Clark, let's not give Diana a love interest. Deal?
Right. She doesn't need one. Honestly, it's just a bonus. Like SuperWonder is always that they're best friends with that underlying tension that you love.
Who both know how to get their hands dirty.
Funny, yeah. You know that flirty tension, that slow burn type thing, that is really what makes the story. Once they get together, they can make it work, but it is something about that of them being friends first and having that relationship. And honestly, the bonus is them finally getting together, but yeah, it's not a necessity.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so tell me about Sensation Comics, and NJ is going to be very happy that you want to bring back Sensation Comics.
So, of course, we have to have this. This is like Action Comics is the backbone for Superman, Sensation Comics is the backbone for Wonder Woman. So, we have the history of the Amazons, and it's not starting with Diana, but Queen Hippolyta. So, it is a generational epic told across centuries, just like Krypton and Action Comics. It with Hippolyta as the central protagonist. So we follow her with the birth of the mascara, with all the wars, the peacefulness, the grief, the motherhood, the leadership, everything that goes with all the Amazons, and in the view of Hippolyta. So this really establishes the Amazons not just warriors. That is the one thing that DC themselves need to stop doing. The Amazons are healers, they are philosophers, they are mother figures, they are builders, and peacemakers, but not that peacemaker.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. In other words, the peacemaker that's actually not annoying.
Right. So earlier arcs, well, each arc does explores the earlier Amazons. They give individual backstories. So yeah, some of them will be OCs, but most of them are forgotten Amazons that has been featured within the Wonder Woman history from since the Golden Age. Then we have the matriarchal structure of the mascara. You have the bonds between mothers and daughters, or just that sort of maternal instinct, or
Keyword on mothers and daughters.
and sisterhood, of course.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah, but I figured I have to emphasize that nowadays.
yeah, and the philosophical divide some of them have, they will have conflict of how to go about interacting with the outside world. Should they, if they have the regrets that they have, or some long for it, just that complexity, and how they deal with the isolation while trying to figure out ways to help the outside world as well.
Heck yeah. So, are we done with book one?
Oh no.
Okay, yeah.
So we are introduced with Diana Rockwell, who is Steve Trevor's mother. Again, we're taking homage to Perez and his foundation. So again, it's emphasizing on mothers, and she is the inspiration for Hippolyta to become Wonder Woman for wartime. And this is when also how Diana is given her name, but she's also named after the moon goddess as well.
There you go.
So yes, we do have Hippolyta as the first Wonder Woman. She does, and why have Hippolyta as the first Wonder Woman is basically to emphasize on why she's so hell bent on staying on the island. Like, why is she so scarred and overprotective of Diana? Because she has seen, what man's world does, and she's afraid. So it really just shows that her concern for Diana, it isn't just being an overprotective helicopter mom. She actually has a reason to be so. So the end of the first arc or so, this is when Diana is born. um and then you emphasize on the Amazons, uh Nubia, Philippus, Antiope, any Amazon, Artemis,
Mhm.
those type of Amazons,
And
they
they're
have their
not love interest for Diana.
right, they do, but they all have their own arc to show them as individual, unique, wonderful characters.
Which they are, but it's like too many people want to turn them into love interests. Greg Rocca.
Right.
All right. Next slide. Can I go ahead and change slides?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, book two, Wonder Woman. I wonder who this is going to be about.
Right. So this is Wonder Woman Year One done right. This is where her story begins. It starts with the contest. Of course, we go through the contest and Diana wins. It is framed by a prophecy foretelling multiple champions, which is the future Justice League, will rise across the world to face coming great evil, which is probably Darkseid or Starro or something like that. So Diana, of course, she doesn't seek glory or anything. She just wants to represent her people and also explore. She is an adventurer. Her first true adversary is Strife, Eris, the goddess of discord, spreading hatred, division, and chaos across the globe. Um, this is where Eris thrives, especially in today's world where media comes about, and you have a lot of protests, you have a lot of political divide, you have all of this competition, within the media, and everyone is kind of hateful. So she is gaining a lot of power from that, and Diana has to counter all of that with peace. So you get that, and also again emphasizing the mothers and the sister how Diana is the favorite amongst the other goddesses, especially Hera. Even if you want to even have her as the daughter of Zeus, which I wouldn't do, but if
No,
you were to have that, she is still, favored by Hera. But with going with the clay origin, Hera is the main one that gives her, life. So, um, she is favored, and Eris is jealous of that. So you do have that sisterly rivalry.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so then when Diana arrives to Man's World, she does not meet Steve. Then he does not crash land on the island. Um, she actually goes to Man's World and appears in the middle of a heated protest in Boston, uh, influence, and it is fueled by Eris. And so it basically establishes Diana as a humanitarian first. It's not her being a, you know, swinging warrior. She's not fighting truly a bad guy. She's trying to make peace. Of course, the military gets involved and they arrest her. That is when she meets Steve and Etta at the base. So together, Steve and Etta, they convince General Lane, and you do have those crossovers, teases here and there, that Diana will be under their supervision. That is when they take her to Julia, the Harvard professor, and she's renowned for her community work and cultural anthropology. And this really shows, again, going with Perez, that Diana becomes a student, a college student. She is learning English and all of this different cultural stuff by Julia. She is gaining her relationship with Vanessa as the little sister she didn't know she um, longed for, and things like that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So then we get to 5 years later.
So this is now Diana is globally recognized as a hero. She is a Harvard graduate and she's an assistant professor. So this is pretty much emphasizing Diana as the educator, the global hero. She loves to travel, just like Cal does, and she also is. She does a lot of charity work and things like that. So uh, it's really just her humanitarian work that's front and center with this. And you also get her rogue gallery starts to build up as well.
Okay, cool. And are you approving of my image choice?
Yes.
I figured that'd
Well,
be fun.
minus the sword. Minus the sword.
Well, yeah, but I figured that this is like Wonder Woman, like now a little more established and stuff. So, book 3, a book that they actually really need. Besides all the other books that you mentioned, I'm saying now they really need that. The Wonder Girls.
I mean, I don't really care for the Wonder Girls, but to give, them something a little bit more fleshed out and to give their
Robin and
perspective.
Supergirl and Superboy are going to get books. It kind of makes sense that the Wonder Girls would have at least one.
Right, it does. So with this, we have 3 Wonder Girls. We have Vanessa, Donna, and Cassie. Vanessa that's the emotional core of the book because she was, again, Diana's first, like true little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana does have that, this is kind of before she becomes, or I would say it's kind of like a transitional phase for Vanessa. That maybe it's a flashback scene of her as growing up with Diana, and then to the moment she becomes Silver Swan, or something like that. But yeah, it's really just emphasizing on how she felt when she first met Diana, how she was going to be a Wonder Girl to now she's Silver Swan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was one of the very interesting parts when like Cassie first showed up in the Burn Run. I did like how Vanessa was like, "Why didn't I get a chance as Wonder Girl?"
Yeah, I mean, because she deserved it. She was Diana's number one supporter. She really, had her own, like, that spirit as a Wonder Girl. So then you go with Donna. I would say that Donna would be the twin sister, so she would have the mirror origin, because the fire origin is way too much because you would have to age up Diana. So,
but we need to come up with another origin because the whole Clay of Hippolyta thing doesn't work.
the mirror origin.
Oh yeah. That works.
The Clay thing was Nubia.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the new 52 origin of Donna, I look back on that, I'm like, what were you doing?
Editorials being stupid. Yeah. But no, we are going with Magala doing the whole magic spell for Diana's mirror twin. That is Donna. So this is basically, because she is Diana's twin, it's how can she become stand out as an individual. Then we go, but they also share souls. So yeah, it's kind of like, how can I become just my own person? Then with Cassie, she is basically the fangirl turned Wonder Girl. So we just emphasize on that. And the other central conflict of this is the Vanessa and Cassie rivalry, trying to have Diana's attention.
Cause that's stupid, because it's like that wouldn't really happen, or like
it's only because Vanessa felt abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was pretty much just introduced by Jimenez, but it wasn't something that it was really just that feeling of betrayal and abandonment from Vanessa that sparked this.
That works 100%. And then we can also have, like, maybe it's like a mini series and then it ends with Vanessa becoming a Wonder Girl, keeping this, maybe having like a less invasive version of the Silver Swan costume, but it's recolored to Diana's colors.
That's neat. Yeah.
So that way she can be Wonder Girl, and because give Cassie her own name, give Yara her own name. I notice Yara is not included in this
because I just couldn't figure out, how to have her.
That's true. Maybe she could be introduced later in the reboot. You know who else is noticeably absent is Trinity.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because she won't be any Wonder or anything anytime soon. So then we have Wonder Woman Bonds of Truth. As soon as I saw this, I was like, of course Britt would suggest this.
Yeah, so this is basically stories, in a sense, the same as the Superman book, with the team ups, and the perspective of the guest hero and Diana's perspective of the guest hero, and how they work together and build that bond.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can have it where like where it's like so what, let me ask you this. Would it just be the female characters? Is it her like meeting like Cal? Because you can have it from her perspective.
No, actually, the female book, centric book is later. Okay. This is meeting everyone.
Okay, that makes sense. But you could have her meet Mira for the first time. Like maybe she meets they meet outside of like Clark and Arthur, and then they become friends. So it's like when Clark and Arthur go, "Hey, so Diana, this is Arthur's wife Mira," and then Diana goes, "Oh, Mira," and then Arthur and Clark look at each other like, "What did we miss?"
Exactly, that would be so good.
Yeah, and it's like you could also have like Kara being the mentor, because you could have at this point do the part of Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, or Supergirl where Diana like trains Kara on how to use her powers and stuff, except don't have the antagonism between Clark and Diana in that, but it's like that concept in there. Because I always like the idea of Diana being a mentor to Kara.
Right.
Because she would at that point. Would you keep like the idea that like Supergirl is very like angry and like remembers Krypton and is like maybe looks down on humanity at first?
Yeah, because that was a pre-crisis story of how Diana and Kara met in the first place, and why that idea of Diana being her mentor came about.
And it was New 52.
No, it was a pre-crisis story.
No, but it was the concept that I described is new. It was also the story of New 52 Kara.
Right.
You keep it having. Here's what you do. Kara, because when she comes to Earth, Kara only speaks Kryptonian. So then she goes, and so then Kara and Cal are talking, and Kara is like talking about Diana behind her back, but to her face. She thinks Diana does not understand her in Kryptonian, but then Diana responds in Kryptonian, and Kara's like, "What?"
Yes.
And then Cal's like, "Diana, this is my girlfriend, Diana." And you can see Kara's like, "Yeah," it's like, "Yeah, she learned Kryptonian."
Yeah, Diana speaking Kryptonian definitely would surprise a lot, but it goes within her to know about cultures.
Oh yeah, and especially if she's dating Superman, you can't tell me she wouldn't learn Kryptonian. I'm sorry. But shout out again to Charles Sewell. I cannot give that man enough flowers for doing that small detail.
Right.
Because he didn't have to do that.
The other detail was in Justice League when Diana wrote Cal a love letter in Greek.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like a blink and you miss it. And again, shout out to Jeff Johns for actually making it a letter and for not having like just random text in there, but actually having something there.
Right.
Yeah, I miss when DC actually cared.
Yeah. Exactly.
So then Britt gives me my book, Gods of Olympus. Again, I mean, some of these we could keep. Like, I kind of dig Hera's design. Zeus obviously is staying no matter what. But Candlehead Hades and Fishman I almost said Aquaman. Fishman Poseidon. Yeah. And Brian Azzarello, God of War.
Yeah, that was a self-insertion. I can't believe that was a thing.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's like, but most of these, again, you can keep. I also am not the biggest, because I get what they were going for, but you make Athena literally an owl woman, and I'm like, I get what you're going for with the gods and stuff, but it's like you could have it where like that's their like temporary form or something like that, but they also have a more human form, because I'm just not used to that. It's like,
yeah, it's understandable.
I do like Apollo's design and how he can shift and like all of a sudden like be full like sun god mode. That was really cool. And I also like how you put here, Britt, because this is something that Clunerad did, but no other Wonder Woman writer really does. Wonder Woman explores other mythologies.
Yes.
Why won't you do that?
I think DC, it's just a creative thing. It's not thinking far enough.
That's why when people say Diana's hard to write, I'm like, no, she is not.
She's not. Her world is just complex and they don't understand it.
Well, ain't that the truth? But it's like, so how would we handle the gods, Britt?
So basically they were the world's first heroes. So it reframes the Olympians as the blueprint for the modern hero worship, explaining why humanity sees the gods sees the heroes as gods. And that pretty much came from when Diana described Justice League as the Pantheon in Justice League War. But also, I think it was Morrison too that described the Justice League, comparing them to the Pantheon. So having that parallel really throw shade
Mhm.
at fans to say that Clark and Diana think of themselves as gods, or they're
Yeah.
distant from humanity or something. So yeah, this is basically showing no, it's actually humanity who has that view, and the reason why they have that view is because of the gods, the actual gods. But why now basically did humanity turn on the actual gods, and now in modern day they want gods again with the heroes?
What I would recommend. So here's what you could do. We do an arc in this is my story of the gods like becoming jealous. But here's the thing: we don't do the war part. We just do the jealousy part, and Diana brings the League to meet the gods, and then the gods go, "Why you and not us? Why are you getting their love and adoration, but we're not?" And then Clark goes, "It's really simple. We don't see ourselves as gods. We don't see ourselves as above them. We see ourselves as them, but we have special powers that protect them. You all only saw them as like beings to manipulate or play things. We see them as like essentially plants that need to be protected and cultivated. That's why that's why they trust us and have forgotten you."
That is perfect, actually.
So you make it instead, because obviously the stereotypical thing to do is like the gods fight the Justice League, even though I would love for that to happen. That was the best arc of Injustice. But it's like you could also have, and again, it has to be Superman saying that, not only because of they don't see themselves as gods again, but it reinforces, because you have Hippolyta watching this, and it reinforces that he is. This is why. I mean, it's one of the major reasons why Britt and I ship SuperWonder, because Clark is everything that the Amazons. Clark is the antithesis of everything the Amazons think men are.
Exactly.
And this is him saying that to the gods, because the gods are like the gods who are like what the Amazons, if they think of men, are like. Why aren't we getting the adoration? Well, in other words, they're only thinking of themselves. And then Clark is like, no. We think about the people, not of ourselves. In fact, I've died a dozen times for this planet.
Exactly.
And then Hera basically goes, "Oh, you've chosen well, Diana." Because Hera likes to see Zeus taking down a pet, obviously. Yes. So, and you can also do, here's what Britt and I will do. We'll do Norse mythology, but it's our version, a redo of Immortal Beloved. Where that, oh, this is what we do, Britt. Are you ready? I'm about to get ridiculously petty. Mortal Beloved happens, but they actually do go all the way. And that's our Immortal Beloved is the start of their relationship. And I'm like, your move, DC.
I mean, but we don't want a story of adulterers, though.
No, it's not adulterers because he's not with Lois, but we set it up as close to Immortal Beloved as we can. That way we could say, haha, F you.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, because Clark is at no point does Clark get with Lois, obviously.
Right.
So it's like just so we could see, hey, this story really did a lot of damage to DC. So let's fix that. And Britt my fixing involves turning the pettiness up to like 20.
True.
So then here's a book that you put on here that I didn't expect. Myndi Mayer.
Okay, so Myndi basically, she is the counter of the Daily Planet.
Mm-hmm.
She is messy. She's the one that does the gossip for the heroes. She's the one that really you remember New 52 had News 52?
Yep.
With Ambush. That's basically what Myndi is. She's the messy PR lady that wants the gossip, and especially with
when it becomes public that Superman and Wonder Woman are together, she goes, "Called it."
Exactly. Well, she's the one that put them together, of course, with Perez.
She goes, "I am the mastermind. I am this." Oh, this is what she says. "I am the superpowered matchmaker."
Basically, her superpower is getting Diana so she helps Diana and hurts Diana in a lot of ways. she helps Diana by giving her the understanding of the media and how harsh the media can be, how manipulative the media can be. But at the same time, Myndi uses a lot of that, especially Diana's fame, for her own gain, of course. So with sort of like the interviews that Diana is booked for, things like that, the appearances that she wants Diana to have. She treats Diana as a celebrity, as this upscale celebrity, and that's something that Diana doesn't want. And also kind of like putting her business out there, that especially with her romance with Cal, is like, no, some of this stuff has to be private. And it also explores the whole privacy thing and why Cal is so strong on it. And as I said, it does intermingle with the Daily Planet, because Kat actually was a quote unquote student of Myndi. And the reason why I put that is because Kat is the gossiper. So it's basically like she takes what she learned from Myndi and turned it up a little bit, but she's still not on Mindy's level at the Daily Planet.
You can also have it where DC actually like well, not DC, where like after Clark and Diana get together, Myndi is giving her at like questionable advice, like which like news shows to go on, and Clark starts going no. Clark in other words is saying you shouldn't do that.
Exactly. And then you have her, of course, Perry is saying that the Daily Planet is the one that needs to break these stories before Myndi does. And Lois hates Myndi because she feels like Myndi knows everything. And it's like,
Oh,
she is supposed to know everything. And Myndi is giving them a true challenge.
I have a petty idea.
What would that be?
When Clark is finally at the stage in his life where he allows his identity to be public, Myndi breaks the story, not Lois.
Well, that will be before Myndi passes.
Yes. Well, are we still doing that though?
Yeah, because that is an emotional core of Diana, of how basically reality really starts hitting her, because you have the tragedy of Vanessa and Myndi, and that is something that really strikes Diana.
What you could do instead is don't have it. Obviously, don't have it yet, but have it where like maybe they go through like or Diana discovers Mindy's journal and discovers that Myndi always knew Clark Kent was Superman, but she didn't say it out of respect for Diana.
Perfect.
So so it's like, and you could, and eventually when Lois finds out about Clark, he goes, Myndi knew, and she noticed she didn't do it because it would have propelled her if she broke the news, but she didn't because she had more respect for me than you do.
Right.
Anyway, so then here's another book that I found interesting. You are full of surprises, Britt. Is what so. Didn't DC do this a while back where it was like highlighting women of the world, of the actual world?
And honestly, that needs to be an ongoing.
I think so.
Yeah.
Role models.
Because DC does not emphasize women in in the whole DC landscape. So not only the female heroes, but also like Myndi, like Julia, and even Hesha, the doctors, the athletes. You can have special guests that are actually celebrities, things like that. But that will be a book that DC really needs. It's not just a special for Women's Month in March. It is an ongoing celebration.
Yeah, I like that. That actually works really well. But yeah, so it's because you do need this kind of, because it's like, again, you want to be able to emphasize role models for girls reading this book, and if you do that, now you also have to, because the problem with the Wonder Women of the world is that they only highlighted women of a certain political affiliation. So you need to be neutral about that, obviously.
Well, yeah. Or, I mean...
Or how about this? Don't do politicians at all, period.
It depends. It really depends. I mean, Like, it honestly depends on the story and how you go about it. So you
True.
don't have to limit or not do a certain thing.
That's true, but I'm just saying it really depends on like well, obviously it depends on who's in charge of the book. So yeah, there is that. But either way, it's a great idea, and you can use like you can even do actually the same thing for Superman and have it like highlight Supermen of the in the world today. So boys can have also the role models as well.
I mean, yeah, but DC already does that. We need
Not
girls.
recently.
They have a lot of father stuff, I would say.
But they don't highlight actual men in the real world though.
I mean, who is it to highlight though in the real world?
There are men that are good guys. Come on.
I guess.
It's almost as if you're on a StreamYard call with one.
I mean, that's the difference. I mean,
I know.
yeah. So
I'm unique in this case. So then we go to a conclusion, and this is the thing, because too many times with the new 52, the fan base was more like, they don't act like these characters now. Superman has to act like this now. And I go, because that's legit what was said when I was defending Snyder versus Superman, Britt, because they go, no, he has to act like Superman immediately. And I go, actually, no, because no one in his situation would act like Superman immediately, first off. And number two, people have more, this is the same crowd that wants like character growth and progression and legacy, but yet won't allow that to be restarted with a new generation. Isn't that very hypocritical, Britt?
yes, it is. I mean, you can't have. You are going to have this, certain eras that you like or whatever.
That's fine.
I mean, even as I said earlier with music, a lot of people want to go back to the 90s because the 90s, early 2000s, well, I would say the 80s and 90s was when music really soared.
Yeah.
And that is the type of music people want more of.
And I'm sure, is that around the time that Beyonce first showed up? I have to ask because it's you.
Well, yes, of course.
There you go. And it's all explained.
But I mean, that is why modern day she is, one of the greatest entertainers of all time. But no, that's why I said the 80s, because you did have, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson. You did have Whitney Houston. Well, I think the Beatles was in the 70s. So, but still, these iconic, musicians, artists, they actually told a story with their music, and their music really resonated with you at that time, and people want to have that back, to have a story being told through music, to have something that resonates, to make you cry or something like that, to make you fall in love, to make you happy, or hell, if you do get sad over a song. And that's the same thing with movies and stories, because with movies, it's something that's not just popcorn flick, but you want to be entertained. You want to have this, not when you turn it off, you forgot what you just watched, or you disappointed. You want something that actually impacts you, and you want to be able to watch it again and have that same exciting feeling, not just a one-time watch and you're done. Or lazy, as they're doing in modern day, lazily rebooting certain movies and stuff and franchises, and it's not having that same impact as it was before. And then stories, as you said earlier, DC keeps regurgitating and doing the same story over and over with new paint. What they have for Superman, Cal isn't dead, but he has disappeared. And you have Reign of the Superboys instead of Reign of the Superman. All you did was change the title to Boys, but it's still like these random Superboys who are taking over as Superman. It's like, really? Did you really have to do that? You know, Giving Lois powers. It doesn't really matter to the character. She's still not that equal that they want her to be. She is just a journalist or a reporter that they glorify. She is a the love interest that they glorify, but ultimately she becomes in the background. So you just have to realize that certain things are outdated and need to be revamped, whether that is to leave some characters off in the background like Lois, or you stay stagnant.
Yeah, exactly. You need to. And stagnation, thy name is DC Rebirth.
Yes.
So let's talk about some comics. So I decided to start with Absolute Wonder Woman 16 this time. So here's the thing about this, because Britt and I have a bit of a divide on this. So let's start with this. Obviously, the notes are mine, but so let's start with this. So we get the Absolute Aphrodite, which again, Hayden Sherman never goes wrong with designing these gods. My God, pun intended. And I really being that like Diana's like training and being a warrior, and I like how Aphrodite calls Diana her little gumdrop. That's nice. I enjoyed. So here's the interesting thing. With Zatanna, like, essentially taking control of Diana's magic, what that homages to me, it's a Rucka thing, Britt, but it's a thing that's been done in other stuff, where Diana has to fight, like, blindfolded or, like, at a disadvantage, because that shows that Diana is more than just, like, her powers. Or with this Diana being a witch, her magic. She is still, like, this amazing warrior. So I dig that. And then the Steve Trevor part. This is one of the few times you're going to praise the Steve Trevor moment. So here's the thing. Steve Trevor is like at a Senate hearing for like Wonder Woman and such. So here's the important thing this is another example of Kelly either intentionally or unintentionally throwing shade at Tom King. I'm going to read this. So Steve says he resigned his commission. No man can truthfully serve two masters, and if the U.S. government wishes to oppose Wonder Woman, then they're on the wrong side of history, and I'll be on the correct side of it, where Diana will always be. So, as Britt and I have like blasted King's Run many times, King. Well, it might as well have been Steve being in the military. And like being on the side of the military, but also trying to help Diana, that doesn't work anymore. So when you have this, Steve actually has the balls to say, I quit. I'm just going to go help Wonder Woman because she's the one that's actually having some impact on the world. So, Britt, at least give her credit for that.
I give half a point.
Come on, Britt. This issue wasn't that bad. I mean, look at the awesome panel designs, too.
It's not bad. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not.
Ignore the shippers of Twitter because we all know they're idiots.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a whatever. I'm talking about the story itself. It's not hitting too much yet. I just have to see.
It's the first issue of a new arc, so let's be clear about that.
I mean, we are issue 16. It should,
But it's a new arc again.
We'll see.
But I do like how for the longest time Diana has solved all of these trials with her magic, but the magic is now stripped from her. So it's like, so you want to see what is Absolute Wonder Woman without a witch, essentially. So that's actually something kind of cool, because you can't, like, to quote Star Wars, you can't force your way out of it. So at least give it some credit, Britt.
I will see.
So how do you rate this issue? I'm almost afraid to ask.
I mean, I had no rating. So,
all right, because then the official Comics League rating is a 9 out of 10, so I hope you're happy. Because that's my rating, honey.
Let me see. I will give it a 7.
That's fair. I'll accept that. That's fair. I'll give it that. My only complaint is not calling the Absolute Suicide Squad Absolute Villainy Inc. However, I get that that's a very deep cut, and Suicide Squad has the better name in terms of like recognition. So I see why they did that. I do also like the way I forgot who the main villain is. Who is Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor? No, sorry, Veronica Cale. I like how Veronica Cale is being used in this issue as well. I almost forgot that. I'm like, but then I remember. Oh yeah, Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor. Okay, there you go. But yeah. So what did you think of Veronica Cale? And did you notice they're setting up Absolute Starro?
Yeah, I saw that. She is, She's definitely feeling like Superman 25 Lex Luthor.
Yeah. So then we get. So tell me about Green Lantern 14.
Okay, so this is still tied into Absolute Power, which was a dud of an event. But, the writers did what they could, except for Tom King, of course, because he is.
You know what's kind of
He
funny?
was.
You know what's kind of funny? The first Tom King tie-in to Absolute Power was actually pretty decent. The first. The other one sucked.
Yeah. I mean, even that was a little whatever.
Anyway.
So Hal is in prison and he has to use unconventional tools basically to escape Waller's facility. And it's so funny that Waller is kind of like nowhere to be found. I think she's in prison, but it's still like nothing has been said about her since this event has ended. And honestly, the way that she was emphasized to be like this big bad villain and then to so easily just disappear says a lot about the story structure for DC. And then to go right back to Darkseid too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now here's a very important moment here. So the Jade Stone, the Green Lantern, what's the word? Amazo, that's going to be very important for what happens later. So pay attention to that as you read that. I also like in this, because here's the thing. I respect that Jeremy Adams did not just make Carol all of a sudden want to be a superhero. It was like a build-up. Granted, it was like in a couple of issues, but it was still a build-up.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have to, the way this continuity works, you have to go back to what the character was in the first place. So, yeah, it was a couple of issues, but at least it's sort of, the way it was written, it made it feel like it was a longer build-up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm fine with that. So it's like, okay, that works. And I like Hal having to be inventive instead of just relying on the ring. That's the other part that I really like about this. Then we also see Sad Sack Lantern. In other words, Steve Trevor as a lantern. I love it. It's just the fact that we now have a sad lantern is hilarious. By the way, here's a very cool thing. You know how DC has that online game?
Yeah.
They literally have an entire event going on about the sad lanterns.
Really?
And they just got invented. It's really cool. Where it involves like Necron, the Black Lanterns, but Mogo is turned into a sad lantern.
Wow, I can't believe that is really a thing.
It's really cool. And the fact that game keeps so close to DC, like as soon as I saw the sad lantern thing happen, I'm like, that literally just got introduced and all of a sudden it's already in there. Well done.
Well, that is the only thing that's actually keeping up with DC's lore.
Yeah, I know. But
it's better than the encyclopedia.
Oh, so oh God. Yeah, well, here's the thing about that. I think people are jumping the gun a little bit, pun intended, because Wonder Woman's entry normally has like 2 to 3 pages. Turn the page and it'll talk about the Clay origin. That's what I bet.
Well, it's still kind of, it's still the fact that it's just a reprint, though.
Well,
I think
it's an expansion, in other words. And Trinity's going to be in there, Sovereign's going to be in there, so I can just ignore those sections.
I don't even know why even bother buying it.
Well, yeah, well, because I like to have the encyclopedias. By the way, so speaking of the DC Online game, you know what they let you do? So how familiar are you with the storyline of Blackest Night?
Not really.
All right, so the way they resolve it is, so Necron is able to turn everyone into Black Lanterns because he goes, oh yeah, all of you have died. So even if you came back, you still died. So I have a tether to you. So that's how like Wonder Woman becomes a Black Lantern. Superman becomes a Black Lantern. But Hal goes, yeah, but we still chose life. So that's when the White Lanterns are created. And it's like the White Lantern Corps of Life. So in the game, you rescue all of the leaders of the corps, which is like Carol, Atrocitus, Larfleeze, Saint Walker, all those guys, and then they turn you into a White Lantern.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like my comic book character Athena became a White Lantern. So I'm like, yes,
cool.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so yeah, and this again, I was really surprised because the game actually does this really, and they have a few original characters in there as well. So speaking of original characters, Bomb Queen 14. So here's a cool thing about this. This thing really gets, as soon as I saw she Spawn, I'm like, oh, interesting. So how familiar are you with Spawn lore?
Not much.
Okay, so Spawn's lore is that he was an assassin that was sent on one last job, gets killed, sent to hell because the devil wants him to be like his avatar on Earth, his assassin, and that's what Spawn is. So he says, "Okay, fine, just send me back to my family." The devil back, but as a lesson never to make a deal with the devil, he gets sent 10 years in the future. So his wife has already moved on with his best friend, and they have a kid. So she Spawn is the woman that that originally killed Spawn, Jessica Priest, but they've resolved that like idea in the storylines now, and she's like a close friend. But yeah, the hell spawns, as they're called, are like the devil's avatar. So that's why I kind of like this. And they do go after people who are like sinners and such. So I really like how this arc especially is incorporating a lot of the other Image characters. And the other thing I really like, so in the part where you have the general and the senators talking and it's just text, it's not like speech bubbles, that is a reference to Spawn, because throughout the storylines what they'll do is they'll have essentially like Bill Maher's show essentially, and he'll have like the liberal, the conservative, and then the neutral give their takes on like the storyline, on like what's going on in the storyline, and like reacting to it like it would be a news show essentially.
That is interesting.
So that's kind of what they do here. And again, and the action in this is really well done, really good. And I really dig like all of the different incorporations of magic. I like this version of She Spawn where she has like the flaming hair. Like that's really cool. And I really dig like the whole idea about how they wall off the city and are talking about like the criminal city and such. So I really dig how they do that. It's actually really well done. And I like how the soldier is that's guarding the gate is called NPC. It's basically like the character that like is on a set routine and has no independent thought. And I thought, oh, Twitter. Yeah. So I really dig this arc, and I believe I have one more issue in this arc, and then I'm done with the Suicide Bomber, very aptly named arc of Bomb Queen. And then we'll see what happens with this, because the thing about Bomb Queen,
you get whiplash.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, where is the boobs out of nowhere? I love where we were when we were doing the CLD topic about like anime, and you come in and describing an anime, you go, it's like a less intense Bomb Queen, and I go, well, that's a statement.
Yeah, that was the closest thing I could think of to basically describe what how to think of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there you are pushing anime on me going, Jared, we have to, and whereas like everyone's like, this could scar Jared, and then everyone's like, no, show him, and then there you are, and you're like Eva laughing in the background, lady. Like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, some friend you are.
Because it's hilarious, your reaction to anime, especially, yeah, like I said, it is a very awkward topic to talk about because of, depending on what anime you are talking about, the implications and certain things that happen. It's very awkward to talk about.
Yeah, out of context, a lot. That's why I have to. That's the funny part about discussing anime on a podcast, because it's like we have to be very careful, because otherwise YouTube won't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said, I was just joking. I'm not gonna have you watch the ones that I named, that because clearly those are Bomb Queen level of what you shouldn't watch. But there are some that are quite interesting that I think that you would enjoy. That is not, it remains PG-13.
Oh, good. I mean, let me put it this way. I've seen anime. I've seen like anime adaptations of things. It's just, I've never like watched like the anime that you guys were like, nope, don't show Jared that.
Right. You haven't done the deep dive of anime.
So, you're telling me your eyes have seen things.
Well, of course.
I always says, "Well, of course," and I'm like, "Oh God, oh God."
I was very much, and I still am, a manga anime fan before
Oh, of course.
DC. So that was, let's see, I would say, yeah, with New 52. So it was 2013 becoming a fan first, for DC. But that, other than that, it was anime for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I like anime and manga. Don't get me wrong. It's one of those things where it's like I just never got into it. But let me put it this way: I watched most of Attack on Titan. I still have to complete that, and I generally enjoyed it. Obviously, I liked the DC anime, the second movie. The first movie with like the monkeys that combine with bats to form a giant Batman. When Britt and I were like watching that together, she goes, "Oh hell no!"
Because, I mean, it was, I don't know, it was something about that was kind of like, okay, you're going too far or something. It was, some things, as I said, are very cringe and awkward. So it just all depends on the execution of things. It's something that should be excluded, of course. But yeah, it just all depends on what you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, but it's like it's over, and that's the fun thing about anime and manga and stuff. Is that yeah, there is such a breadth of like material that you can reference and use. That's like it's not like everything is like one thing. You know, in other words.
Right.
But yeah, it's like because it's like at least I will say anime did give us one of the best versions of Wonder Woman ever created in the Batman. Ironic, it's in a Batman movie. That's the funniest part that really blows my mind.
Right.
I'm like, what? And not only that, Jessica Cruz. I'm like, what? This is the one time a Batman movie has included other characters and they were equally as peak. What the hell?
Well, that, I would say that it just depends on the creators always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely all because you could balance it, and I get that Batman still has to be Batman has to be the focus because it is a Batman movie. But the fact that you were able to include like Wonder Woman and all these other characters, but not make like Batman the whole like kit and caboodle, and still
Right.
obviously include Batman BS. I'm like, okay, that's why I love that second movie because it's like, oh, you actually you can have a Batman movie, but not make everyone else look like idiots. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so Britt, I think that's a good place to leave it. And what do you guys think in terms of our reboot of Superman and Wonder Woman? And by the way, I think it's safe to say there would not be a Lois Lane book, right?
No, of course
Yeah.
not.
There you go. I'm gonna love it. No, of course not. But yeah, so Britt, do you have any stories you want to tease us with?
Okay, so, well, earlier I sent you a one shot that I finally completed that will be posted, probably Monday. Or and then of course Shelter and Odyssey will be probably within the week. And I do have a very, very early Mother's Day story. I, of course, create the Twitter threads, but also, saw a thread that had Wonder Woman ideas for, stories. And basically, it, the the thread was basically an answer to my thread for the books and stuff like that. So I couldn't help but want to write some of the ideas, that were there. So it will be a Mother's Day story. Diana gives a gift to Hippolyta. This will be her first Mother's Day in the terms of Man's World and what it meant. Because of course, the mascara is all about sisterhood and motherhood, so they did not, know of anything about just a specific day for mothers. So Diana really does take this serious, and at first she questions it because it's like, why would one day be for mothers? It's supposed to be all year round. So she has to learn the history of that. And once she understands that and how special it is, she takes the day to be with Hippolyta and she gives her a gift. If you read Perez, you would know about the her retrieving the girdle. So with that, this gift is kind of like is the second most important thing for Hippolyta. And as far as something with the Amazons. Of course, her number one gift would be Diana. So actually, I take that back. I would say Diana is her number one gift. The girl is the second, and this will be her third most important gift.
Yeah, exactly. And I dig that. And keep up with the threads, please, because I love those. They all it's always like if anyone like wants to know like how to properly do Wonder Woman or like why people don't like Tom King's Wonder Woman, just read Britt's threads. They explain them in very plain English.
Well, thank you. Yes, I try to articulate, our feelings about, the current position Wonder Woman is in, but also at least detail some of her actual history. And that brings me to also say that I'm thinking about doing a SuperWonder history thread because a lot of people just don't understand that, yes, Clark and Diana have history since pre-crisis. They would either say Frank Miller is the first one to bring it up. They would say John Byrne is the one to bring it up. They would say New 52 is the first, Kingdom Come. So we need to get the information straight.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's what Britt and I do. But yeah, so stay work, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. And Steve Trevor is the moldy sack of potatoes. Zoe Max about for life. We will see you guys later. Bye bye.